Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a new topic in environmental studies and environmental law. Today's topic is environment protection through public interest litigation. The list of topics to be covered here is environment protection, then importance of environment protection, then we'll study about what is public interest litigation, why public interest litigation is important, so importance of public interest litigation, role of public interest litigation in environment protection. Let's start with environment protection. Environmental protection has always been practiced by humans in one form or another. Environmental protection can be defined as the prevention of unwanted changes to ecosystems and their constituent parts. The need for protection and conservation of environment and sustainable use of natural resources is reflected in the constitutional framework of India and also in the international commitments of India. So, environmental protection is very important as it will help us to sustain in on earth. Importance of environment protection. It is very important to protect environment in order to avoid extinction of life. The Environment Protection Act 1986, the Environment Act provides for the protection and improvement of environment. It is an umbrella legislation designed to provide a framework for the coordination of central and state authorities. The Environment Protection Act establishes the framework for studying, planning, and implementing long-term requirements of environmental safety and laying down a system of speedy and adequate response of situations threatening the environment. Public interest litigation. The Indian judiciary adopted the technique of public interest litigation for the cause of environmental protection in many cases. The Supreme Court and High Courts shaded the inhibitions against refusing strangers to present the petitions on behalf of poor and ignorant individuals. Public interest litigation means a mode of litigation which is carried out for protection of public interest. This type of litigation is introduced in a court of law where the court itself takes cognizance by any other private party and not by the aggrieved party. It is not necessary for the exercise of the court's jurisdiction that the victim whose rights are violated should personally approach the court. Public interest litigation is the power which has been given to the public by courts through judicial activism. The basic ideology behind adopting public interest litigation is that access to justice ought not to be denied to the needy for the lack of knowledge or finances. In public interest litigation, a public spirited individual or organization can maintain petition on behalf of poor and ignorant individuals. Importance of public interest litigation. Public interest litigations are very important as they provide a wider interpretation to the right to equality, life and personality which is guaranteed under Part 3 of the Constitution of India. It has also introduced some types of reliefs or remedies under the writ jurisdiction. It also functions as an effective instrument to bring changes in the society or social welfare. Through public interest litigation, any person or public can seek remedy on behalf of the oppressed class by introducing a public interest litigation before courts. The role of public interest litigation in environment protection. In the area of environmental protection, public interest litigation has proved to be an effective tool. Power and judicial activism of the Indian courts have resulted into a strong and ever-expanding regime of the fundamental rights. Now, let's take up some case studies based on environmental protection through public interest litigation. In Indian Council for Enviro-Legal Action versus Union of India, the Supreme Court cautioned the industries discharging inherently dangerous oleum and H acid. The court held that such type of pollution infringes right to wholesome environment and ultimately the right to life. In another case of rural litigation and entitlement Kendra versus State of UP, the Supreme Court prohibited continuance of mining operations, terming it to be adversely affecting the environment. In another case of MC Mehta versus Union of India, the Supreme Court held that air pollution in Delhi caused by vehicular emissions violates right to life under Article 21 and directed all commercial vehicles operating in Delhi to switch to CNG fuel mode for safeguarding health of the people. In another landmark case, Velo Citizens Welfare Forum versus Union of India, the Supreme Court allowed standing to a public-spirited social organization for protecting the health of residents of Vellore. In this case, the tannery situation around the river Palar in Vellore, Tamil Nadu, were found discharging toxic chemicals in the rivers, thereby jeopardizing the health of the residents. The court asked the tanneries to close their business. Sanitization in Ratna. In a landmark judgment in 1980, the Supreme Court explicitly recognized the impact of a deteriorating urban environment on the poor. It linked basic public health facilities to human rights and compelled the municipality to provide proper sanitization and drainage. In another case of Doon Valley Quarry in 1987, the Rural Litigation and Entitlement Kendra, on behalf of residents of Doon Valley, filed a case in the Supreme Court against Limestone Quarry. This case was the first querying the Supreme Court to balance environmental and ecological integrity against industrial demands on forest resources. The court directed the authorities to stop quarrying in the Missouri Hills. Another case is related to gas leak in Shriram factory. In the historic case of the oleum gas leak from the Shriram Food and Fertilizer Factory in Delhi in 1986, the Supreme Court ordered the management to pay compensation to the victims of the gas leak. The absolute liability of a hazardous chemical manufacturer to give compensation to all those affected by an accident was introduced in this case, and it was the first time compensation was paid to victims.